My speech is on the history of baseball, like who invented baseball, who created the uniforms, what were the first uniforms, the equipment, the cleats, etc. Alright, to many, some people, the main question in baseball is who created it. Some say Albert Doubleday, others say it's Alexander Cartwright. It's truly amazing, after many different research that has been done over the years, that this debut who invented baseball. Albert Spalding wanted to prove that Albert Doubleday, who was the inventor of baseball. But even with the panel he hired, he had history of any proof that he had no history of proof. The only thing was a letter written by a man named Abern Graves. In his letter, Mr. Graves started that Albert Doubleday invented baseball in 1839 at Cooperstown, which is located in New York. Unfortunately, that would be untrue because Albert Doubleday was enrolled at West Point in 1839. That would have been impossible for him to be at Cooperstown and invented the game of baseball. We do know, however, that in the 1600s, a game called rounders was played like baseball. However, they would have to throw the ball at the runner and hit him with the ball to get the out. They did have 3 strikes, but the runners would run the opposite direction to the bases. In 1700s, American colonies would play a game called town ball. They have to 25 players on the team, and everyone had to hit prior to the opposite team. The players were paddles, not bats, and the bases were posts. Can you ever imagine being at one of those games with 25 players hitting and playing 9-inning games? This game will take forever. Alexander Cartwright will play town ball, but one day made up his own set of rules in 1845. You will have to touch a base or the runner, not throw the ball at them. Another rule that he made was Another rule that Cartwright had but was changed was the batter would tell the pitcher what kind of pitch he wanted, which nowadays that would never happen. He was also known to have been one of the first official umpires in a game. You would assume with these kinds of findings that Alexander Cartwright was an inventor of baseball. The first baseball game known to play was October 6, 1845 at Ainsley's Field in New Jersey. One of the teams had been captained by Alexander Cartwright, and the other team was captained by the New York Knickerbockers. It was a club president that drafted his team. His name was Duncan Curry. Curry's team won by 3 in a 3-inning game. The first baseball team was known as the New York Knickerbockers. And Alexander Cartwright became the father of baseball. Other teams were organized, and in 1871, a team established was called the Boston Red Stockings, which I believe was the Boston Red Sox, but when I found more research, it became the Atlanta Braves. This team, the Boston Red Stockings, was in Milwaukee, started in Boston, and went to Atlanta. The team's been around for 135 years. Another team that was formed in 1882 was the St. Louis Brown Stockings, which was in the American Association League. And in 1892, the league got bankrupt, and they went to the National League. And then they changed the name to St. Louis Perfectos. And in the 1900s, this team became, and is still known as the St. Louis Cardinals. When baseball first began, the only equipment used was a bat and a ball. The bat was flat on one side and eventually changed to being round. It used to be made of only wood, but over the bats are made by many different woods. And aluminum in high school. Baseballs that were used in the first game were either made by the players themselves or local merchants. Yarn or string surrounding a core covered by a single piece of leather stitched together was the material used for the first baseball. The color was dark brown. Over the years, they changed the material to leather and changed the color to white for it to be easier to see. In 1970s, the Oakland A's tried to introduce the new idea of the orange baseball. Fans loved it, but the Major League Baseball never accepted it. In the beginning, the players who wanted to use a glove were called sissies. By 1870, they started used to create their own gloves. The gloves were created not to catch the ball, but just to drop it, just to knock it down in front of them. They would use leather work gloves, and cut the fingers out. They thought it was very foolish to have all the equipment on you, weighing you down. The first to wear the glove was Albert Spalding in 1877. Albert Spalding went into business, sold the first catcher's mitt, which was fingerless. The glove was stitched to a leather pillow to protect the palm of the hand. By 1895, the leagues made a rule that the catcher had to use the protected glove, and the first baseman had to use it also. Although the players were restricted with the glove, it could not weigh over 10 ounces. Catcher's masks were introduced in 1875. And from 1897 to 1915, protected headgear was mandatory and introduced into baseball. It was very similar to the leather football helmets with like the non-face mask. And in 1907, catcher Brisson introduced the shin guards for the catchers. The first uniforms were blue pants, but they were too long, so they had to cut them down and made them stockles. And the first hat was a flannel shirt and a straw hat. The name of the team was added across the jersey. And by 1881, a ruling was made from all players to wear white pants. The shirt and hat would symbolize the position of the players, where they played. This became very confusing, so many put the team of the name across the shirt. Pinstripe uniforms were introduced, and today teams have their own colors, mascots, and uniforms. Players speak wearing spike leather shoes in 1860s, and the cleats were introduced in 1870s. And baseball is one of the oldest sports in America, and it's called America's national pastime game. And that's for a reason, because it's been around for many, many years, and it's one of the greatest sports in the world.